before the season, I said, watch what I do this year. Not in a selfish way, in a selfish manner. Just watch the way that I play and the improvements I made on my game. And I told a lot of people that, and I wasn't trying to be cocky or, hype myself up. I was just saying, like, like I said, my season got taken away from me, and it's going to be a different, it makes me appreciate the game so much more. And, I just knew it was going to be a different Malachi this year.
What's going on today? I'm the host, Zach Shoemaker, and joining me today is one-time All-SoCon first team selection, five-time SoCon Player of the Week, the 15th leading scorer in the country right now. He's also a one-time Horizon League All-Freshman team selection, two-time SoCon Player of the Month. He's a Lou Henson National Player of the Year midseason watchlist candidate, and he's also the frontrunner to win the SoCon Player of the Year, Malachi Smith. Appreciate you coming on today, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, this has obviously been a huge breakout season for yourself right now. You're a front runner for possibly winning Player of the Year in your conference, and you become now one of the top players, not just in the conference, though, in the entire country. So kind of take us through the season a little bit. What's it been like just rising to this level now?
Last year, coming off a redshirt season, a lot of people didn't know who I was. So when you heard Malachi, they're just like, who's that? And I had a great season last year. COVID obviously ended it, but this year, just having that chip on my shoulder, like I said, my season being taken away from me because of COVID, made me, more hungry this offseason to show what I feel like would have happened if I was able to play in the conference tournament. And just our team, we got better, and we just been having that chip on our shoulder so far.
Well, you obviously have become the player you are today, but it hasn't been an easy journey to this point. It's been a lot of ups and downs and gone from being an underrated player and still are an underrated player today. But I want people to get to know the background behind you and how you became the Malachi Smith that we all see you and know you as today. So if we head all the way back, you're originally from Illinois. Walk us through that. What was it like growing up out there?
So my mom was in the military, so we moved out there when I was, closer elementary school, closer to middle school, because my mom was in the military, and it was good. I played football, I played basketball, I played all the sports, but it was cold out there, so basketball was the sport that kind of stuck with me, and I wasn't really good right away. I didn't really start getting good and take it serious till about the 6th, 7th grade. And, I didn't play AAU or anything until, my freshman year of high school, really. And, I just saw players that were better than me. And I was just like, I want to work on my game so I can be as good as them. And then I just, honestly, I just worked and worked to try to just, stay ahead.
You mentioned your mom, and I know you're always talking about her on social media and the impact she's had in your life. And I know she was pretty much the sole parent with raising you for the majority of your life, too. So take us through your guys' bond. How big has it been just to have her in your life, and how much does she mean to you?
She means the world to me. Like, I call her like my best friend because, we've been through everything together. When she was sick, I had to take care of her. Good days, bad days, we had to, fight through those. And, every time I looked in the stands, I could count on her being there, whether she was working two jobs or, sacrificing things behind, the back end, behind the curtain that I didn't know. She still found a way to provide and make sure that I had what I needed.
And you look at the background, like you said, her being a military person, obviously that comes with also a different kind of parenting in a sense, or at least she has a different experience than a lot of parents have. So how did that military background help impact you as a person? How did it help make you into the person that you are today?
Just providing discipline for me, trying to keep me out of trouble, trying to make sure I'm doing the things that are important, like, staying on top of my grades, being respectful of other people, staying, like I said, staying out of trouble, stay away from things I don't need to get involved in. And she just made sure that I was just grown up to be a well-rounded young man.
And growing up in Illinois, there's obviously a ton of town out there. It's one of the more highly regarded places when it comes to the game of basketball and the prospects that come out of there. So you said that basketball was one of the sports you played, but you didn't take it seriously till later on. So How did the ball though first get put in your hands? When was that day, and just how did the ball first get put in your hands?
Honestly, I played football, and one of my teammates on my football team, season was over. He played basketball, and I guess like they didn't have any extra players. Like they only had like five players, and they needed one more player. So they called me because I was bigger at the time. Like I was short, but I was like stocky. So they asked me to play, and when I played, and I wasn't good, but I was like it was fun. Like it was fun to just go up and down. And kind of from there, I played on the team for the rest of the season. And, they just taught me how to dribble, taught me how to shoot. And then I just did the rest on my own, going outside, just dribbling outside in the driveway, finding basketball goals in the neighborhoods or walking to, parks and stuff, trying to figure out like how to get better.
When would you say that timeline came where you kind of fell in love with the game, but also at the same time you started feeling like, okay, I am a legit player now. I feel like I truly have talent. I have a chance of playing this game, not just in high school, but potentially even at the collegiate level and maybe even further.
So around seventh grade, around the sixth, seventh grade, I started like playing up,
Mhm.
but it was just middle school. And then once my freshman year of high school came, I realized like I had a chance just because in the tryouts, I was like so much better than everybody in the tryouts. And if I was taller, I would have played varsity, but I was still really short. And then in all the freshman games, I would like score 30 like all the time. So it was just like, okay, like I'm better than this competition, So, hopefully, like, luckily I got a growth spurt, which allowed me to elevate my game even more. But around my freshman year of high school is when I knew that I was better than a lot of people that were, playing.
You also have another person in your family background that has played this game of basketball before, and that's your grandfather. He played and was drafted by the Utah Jazz. What was it like just having that in your blood, and how big of an impact, if any, has he had in your life?
That was a long time ago. So obviously the NBA is a lot different then, but just still the same knowledge, knowing the game, asking him how he got there. It's the same principles, hard work, making sacrifices to be better than your opponent or your competition. And yeah, just kind of just knowledge on just working hard and trying to get there.
I also read, I believe that you also lived in Spain for 4 years. Take us to that a little bit.
Honestly, it was great. I don't remember the first 2 years. I don't remember because I was really young, but the
Mhm.
last 2 years I remember is my parents were still together at the time, so we were there for, like I said, the military, and it was great. Like the weather, obviously, like the food was way better than the states, but just the whole experience of being able to go to the beach and learning different culture, learning different language, like all of that was just it was really like an experience I don't take for granted at all.
What would you say was the biggest thing, rather that be culture wise, rather that be just your own personality that you just learned about yourself? Like, what's the biggest thing you took away from that experience?
Um, Honestly, like the people were like really nice, and like even though we didn't look like them, they
Mhm.
still like treated us normal. Even though we're on a military base, we still were able to get out and like experience other parts. And I think just like the people and like the way like they act like they treat everybody.
When you did come back to the States, is that when you came out to Illinois then?
Yeah. So when we came back, that's when we moved to Illinois, and then like life started from there.
Let's hop into your high school career because you had an interesting journey there. It obviously for most guys, you obviously get better each and every single year, but you had a huge jump more towards your final year when you decided to take a transfer and you win a state championship. We'll get into in a second, but walk us through the beginning stage of your high school career. You originally started off your career East. What kind of led to that decision? Why was that the school you wanted to attend for starters?
Well, that's just it's a public school, it's a school in the area. So that was the school I went to. Obviously a lot of my friends went there because, that middle school goes to that high school. And like I had a great experience there. I was there with, a lot of people who are good. We had a couple players that committed to high major schools from there. And that high school conference was really good too. So it was good competition. And just from my freshman to sophomore year, I was just able to grow, get a little bit of varsity experience. And then my junior year, I was able to start varsity. And we had a decent season, but it was still good just to get that experience.
I mentioned earlier that the culture of basketball in Illinois is special. Is countless superstars and college great players that are from that state. So, in terms of just the culture of basketball out there, what was it like being a part of that?
It was good, but honestly, the part that a lot of us that are from don't get recognition in that area. So in Southern Illinois, you don't really hear about us. You hear about Chicago, Peoria, Central Illinois, and Chicago is what gets most of the buzz because of players like Derrick Rose, Jahlil Okafor, Jalen Brunson,
Mhm.
who are all world talents. But down in our area, we don't get much publicity at all.
That's a similar story that you've now had for your entire journey, and still even to this point. Like I said, a lot more people are starting to slowly learn your name. But when you look at how talented you are, you're one of the better players in the entire country. You should be known even more by more and more people. But how have you been able to embrace that underdog mentality in a sense? How have you been able to say, throughout my high school career, I never really got the attention I deserved. Throughout college career, pretty much the same thing. How have you embraced that underdog mentality in a sense?
I just take it as a slight, and it just reminds me that you have no reason to not wake up and go put work in. You have no reason to get complacent. You have no reason to feel like you've made it. You try not to pay attention to it because you only I try to just control what I can control,
Mm.
but I also know like everything's gonna work out the way it's supposed to, and if I just take care of what I can control, everything else will work itself out. So even though it does kind of feel like a slight sometimes that you don't get recognized for certain things, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it. So all I'm gonna do is just continue to keep my head down and work, and that's just why where I am, where I am today. Because instead of taking it as a negative and just dwelling on it, I took it as a challenge to just prove those people wrong.
That is the mentality that everyone should have in most scenarios, but it's not always easiest to get that right out the gate. So, was that the mentality you had right from pretty much the whole time? Whenever you weren't getting attention, whether it be recruiting wise or ranking wise or whatever it was in high school, were you able to kind of think that whole thing through, like the way you just explained it? Were you able to think that through right away throughout high school, or did it take some time for you to soak that in and realize, this truly is just God's path for me. I just got to be patient. It's going to happen down the road.
Yeah, it was the same thing. Like from the jump, I just, obviously I had advice and guidance from my mom and my dad and stuff. But just from the jump, I just told myself, like, I don't care what no one says. I know the kind of player I am. And when I get my opportunity, I'm going to show it. And that was literally just my mentality in every situation. I was like, every game, I want to go out there and I want to kill what's in front of me. And, I don't want to play for anybody else, but I want to prove that, the player that I am and what I can do.
I know you're also a believer, and we're going to talk about that throughout the entire interview as well. But how big has God been for you throughout these times when there are times of potential doubt, when you are going through situations that might not be easy for yourself? How big has it been to be able to go out and rely on Him?
It was really big, when at times when I didn't play and I'm on the bench not playing, frustrated, trying to figure out why is this happening, or, when the offers aren't coming in, or things like that. It's easy to look, on social media and, get jealous and wish that you had someone else's path or, status or whatever that is. But, I just rely on him and lean on him and just know that, like, I just rely on my scripture and my word. And just know like he has me, and just continue to do what I can control, and everything else will work itself out.
Have you always been a strong believer? I know for those that are strong believers, it might not be like right out the gate. You just come out and you just are born into it. I know even if you have a Christian family, it might take some time to form that true one-on-one relationship with Him. So, when did that come for you? When did you truly start trusting in God with everything and really started forming that one-on-one bond with Him?
Um, I would say like my communication like was getting way better was right when high school started.
Mm-hmm.
In middle school, you just you know it, but I didn't really like read my Bible or anything.
Yeah.
But once high school started, I knew that like that's what I needed to, I want to start focusing. I was getting older, and my family we're all Christians. So on my mom and dad's side, they just instilled that in me. To That's something that I need to put my focus on, as well as all the other things, because that's more important than anything else in this world.
If someone came out and asked you when you were a freshman heading into high school before you ever played a game, where did you expect to see yourself in 4 years? Did you expect to be someone that was going to be a Division I player? Did you expect yourself to be a high major player? Did you not really have any idea what you were going to be? Like, where would you have thought that you would have been 4 years after your started your high school career?
Honestly, I knew I would have played basketball still because I had the talent, but I couldn't tell you like what level that would be on. I would honestly just be grateful for any level, because I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to grow. I didn't know if I was going to get any, get any bigger. So at the time, I just was like, I know I'm going to play somewhere. I just didn't know what level or what area, what team it was.
And we'll talk about it in a second too, but obviously you didn't become a top 5 or top 100 recruit type player or a guy with tons of offers, but you still did become that Division I player. So when did you start feeling that, I am a Division I player? I know I can play in the Division I level. I'm that type of top caliber player. When did that set in for you?
My junior year. So going into it was going into my junior year of high school. We had a tournament in Milwaukee, NY2LA, and we had a game against some high major players that were high major.
Mm-hmm.
All the college scouts were at the game to watch them, and I played and I had 21, and we lost in like triple overtime. But I was hanging with the player the entire game, and I was like, this player's getting recruited by Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, and I just had 21, right? Like right with him. So I was like, I know I'm capable, So I got like the moment wasn't too big for me. And that's when I know, like, okay, I'm gonna go D1 because I just played against a high major D1 player and coach's eyes, and I was hanging with him the entire game.
Everyone knows you today as an elite bucket getter, as well as many other things, but we know that you're a dominant scorer. You can score well. Has that always been a part of your game? Have you always just been the guy that you knew that if I'm on that court, I have the ball in my hands, I can get a bucket, or did that take some time to develop for you?
Oh, that took time to develop. I was first a shooter. Like I was just a shooter and a defender, just like kind of like a role player, because that was what was asked of me in high school. In high school, I wasn't asked to get buckets, and then my senior year, we were kind of blowing everybody out, so like, buckets weren't really needed. We were winning by 30 every game, but I started developing more. And then once I got to college is when I really was like working on my game to the point where it's like scoring in one-on-one situations, making tough shots, and like scoring, being guarded in multiple ways and stuff like that.
You then make that transfer your senior season. You end up going out there to Belleville West. What led to that decision? Why did you decide to say, you know what, my final year of high school basketball is here. I want to make a transition. I want to go out here and play for this team.
Honestly, just wanted the opportunity to win, and I was cool with EJ, and a lot of players on that area because it's all in the same area, and I just reached out and was like, man, I'm thinking about coming here, and he was like, come on, and I knew like once I came to like the team, and we had other great players too, but I knew with the team we were going to be crazy, and I knew we were have a chance to compete for state, so I kind of just did it to just have one final like year of like something to remember.
I do want to get into EJ because you two had a great season together out there, became a great duo. Did you guys know each other before that? Were you guys close before that? Or how did you guys' relationship first start?
I played. His dad coached a football team in like little league, and I played on it. And we went to different schools, so obviously we weren't around each other every day. But just being from the same area, kind of like you kind of know like the same people in the area and stuff. And he's a great player. He was big time in the area, so everybody was always talking about him. So yeah, everybody knew who he was.
When you look at the way that you two have both panned out now, both you guys are leading teams that are most likely going to be in the tournament in 3 weeks from now. Both you guys are becoming two of the top players in the entire country. What's just like watching that and seeing the way that you two have kind of had your guys' careers unfold at the college level?
It's honestly a blessing. Like not too many coaches in high school can say two of their players are going to be top players in college basketball, and like I said, like I always support him, and I support everybody that I know from, those areas from afar. But you could see the talent from high school with him. Like you knew he was going to be great. He worked hard. He puts the work in, and so I'm not surprised about anything he's doing. So he deserves everything that's coming his way at Ohio State.
Let's get into that senior year because you have an incredible overall year as a team, 32-2. You guys get the state championship. You also average, like you said, it wasn't necessarily taking over scoring wise, but still 15 and a half points. You're on a winning team. What was that year like for you? And just how much did you enjoy having a year of success and being able to cap it off with the state championship?
It was probably one of the best years of my life, honestly. Like it made school go by so much faster, winning all those games and just having fun too. Like when you win, obviously the saying is when you win, you have fun. But we were winning by such big margins. Like we just wanted to keep shocking the world. And, we started getting like national recognition from some, websites and media. And we just embraced that and wanted to just keep going until the very end. And we did get the state championship as well. That was our goal the whole entire season.
And as you said, that team ends up getting attention where you guys are being viewed as by some people as a team that was at least noticeable. People knew who you guys were. And when we talked about earlier, you didn't have all the attention. You weren't ranked on any websites. You didn't have a lot of offers. How did you end up taking that part in? Because obviously rankings, in my opinion, obviously don't matter. It's just is what it is. But you obviously, every guy obviously would like to get some respect. They want to be getting some attention for the work they put in. How did you take that in as you go through the senior year? You did what you did. You didn't get any attention from pretty much anybody.
Like I say, you kind of just keep that chip on your shoulder. You don't let someone not offering you define you. Going into my senior season, I did have a few offers, but some got taken away. So you kind of just look at that and you just kind of like just take the punches and roll with them, and make the best decision out of the options that you have. And once I made that decision, I was focused on the season, on our team the rest of the year.
In terms of rankings, I know, like I said, a lot of guys like the rankings to a certain degree where it's cool to just get recognition, but at the same time, they don't mean too much. We've seen with players countless times over and over again. How did you view that though? As a player, when you're sitting there and no one's ranking you on websites, did that get you at all? Did that matter to you, or how did you just take that in?
So like I said, like, as a human, as a competitor, you see that and you're like, sometimes you want to compare, but honestly, I just didn't pay attention to it. And like I said, I didn't want to let any person define me, that wasn't watching me live in person. So like I said, I just took it as motivation and I was like, okay, I'm not ranked, but that means that there's more work I can be doing. So I just, making the sacrifices to just get better and just, do things that other people weren't willing to do.
If you were to rank yourself back then, would you have put yourself as a top 100 type player? I know when we look at them all over again, you would probably most likely obviously be in that group, but
Obviously confident, like, I got confidence in myself. I would say I was, but, I guess you would say I wasn't on those biggest stages. So looking back at it at the time, I don't know, but the confidence in the competitor in me would say, yeah, like I think if I'd had the opportunity to prove it, I would have.
and as we did say, you end up becoming a Division I player. You go out to Wright State then for your first year. What led you to that decision? Like, why was that the school that won you over? And ultimately, what was that first year like for you?
Getting recruited, they had a winning culture. They had just made the NCAA tournament the year before. So like that's something that everybody wants to experience. So just seeing that, they had a good team, good coach. And my first year was a good experience. It was what I needed to get better as a player. I was around some great players and great teammates that I still speak to this day. So I made a lot of good friendships and bonds that will, last forever.
Following that season, you then decide to enter the transfer portal and you become another player that has opportunities. We know where you end up going today and where you create your legacy at, but what was that transfer portal process like for you? Who else was interested in you? Was there maybe a number two option? Was there a top two or three score that you were really liking? Or just what did that portal process look like for you?
Honestly, it was just two schools. It was Chattanooga and Carbondale in the Missouri Valley. And our assistant coach, Coach Bronson, he coached at St. Louis while I was in high school. So he kind of, remembered me and knew me from that area. So when he reached out, I visited and I knew right away that this is where I wanted to go.
When you were going through those schools and Chattanooga ends up becoming the school that you wanted to go to, what was your expectations for your career then? Because at that point, you come off a season where you got awards, you had a decent freshman season, but what did you think you were going to be able to achieve, and what did you want to achieve throughout your college career when you commit there?
I just wanted to prove that when I got an opportunity, I was going to make the most of it. I'm a winner, and I kind of wanted to change the program around. Coming here, Coach Paris was new, so he started off with players that kind of he didn't recruit necessarily,
Mhm.
And the records, wasn't really that good, and I just wanted to come in and just change the culture of the program, and I knew I had the red shirt, but I just wanted to build off that red shirt year and just get better. And I knew that if I got the opportunities, that good things would happen. You can't predict the future, but I knew good things would happen because I knew the work I was putting in behind closed doors.
That's the big thing that a lot of people are now talking about, and that is the transfer rule. Obviously, we know that today you can go transfer and play right away. I know on the other side, though, a lot of players look at that and say, that transfer year was huge for my development, helped me to learn the campus, learn the school, the system, etc. How big was that redshirt season for you, and just how did that help you become the player that you are today?
It was really big, players like Dave. We had a player named Matt Ryan who's in the G League right now.
Mm-hmm.
Having to guard those guys every single day made me a lot better. A lot of players, aren't as good as them. So having to guard them on scout team and score against them, and I'm having to score against, our starting five and stuff like that. It allowed me to grow in a lot of areas, make mistakes, but learn from my mistakes as well. And then kind of see the game from the sidelines and watch and see, a different perspective. And I was more of a student, having to sit and watch and learn.
Let's say the rule when you first got out there was you could have just went out there and played right away. Are you the player that you are today? Do you think that that year was critical in terms of making who you are today, or do you think that you still would have been the same player, maybe even better, had you just been able to go out there and play their first year?
Honestly, I don't know. I honestly think like me sitting out, like I was able to work on my game so much
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think I would have been able to work on my game as much playing because when they traveled, I was in the gym, So if I was playing when we traveled, I'd have been playing. So I feel like I still would be a good player, but I was able to get a lot of things done and add a lot of things to my game for not playing for a whole entire year. So I honestly couldn't tell you that. I don't know the answer to that.
What would you say was the biggest thing you improved on during that redshirt season?
I think it was just my shot making ability, my ball handling, seeing the game from a different view. I was just kind of like a scorer, being able to make difficult passes, being able to read the defense before, they make their adjustments. And I think just like the pace of the game, like I was able to slow the game down in my head, playing.
Well, I do want to get into your relationship with coach because he's now become a coach that people are starting to get more and more attention to because of what he's done for the past couple of years now. Like you said, to begin with, it wasn't obviously the best. It wasn't his players. Now he's thriving. He's one of the top coaches, up and coming coaches, I should say, in the country right now. Just how close are you guys? And what's it been like being able to play with him? And how far has your guys' relationship grown since the day you first committed to his school?
It's grown a lot. We're both competitors. He's won on some of the biggest stages, at Wisconsin, even, being an assistant coach at Wisconsin. He's coached great players like Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker. He's been around a lot of good talent. So he knows what it takes to win and what it takes to be a good player. And I have those same goals. I want to be a good player. I want to win at all costs. And I think when you have a player and a coach that want to do whatever it takes to win, I think it's a good recipe for success.
Did you two click right away? Obviously, you didn't play, so not necessarily that season, but like in that last year when you guys first started clicking, you were playing, you're a part of the active roster. Did you guys click right away, or did it take some time to develop that relationship where you guys were kind of on the same page?
I had to earn his trust. A lot of times on scout team, I was doing great things, and he saw the talent and the ability. But it's easier to do stuff on scout team when you're not being coached hard, you're not having any expectations. So I think just that season coming in last year, I was able to gain his trust with the shot making, with the leadership, the talking, my defense, stuff like that. I feel like that gave him more trust in me as a player.
What's your favorite memory that you've created so far with Coach?
Um, it's a lot. I would say, man, let me think. Greatest memory so far. Probably when we started off before the season, like last year, we were predicted to finish like sixth or seventh in the conference, and we both looked at each other and was like, okay, like we're gonna see. And then we started off the season 9-0,
Mm-hmm.
and after we won that ninth game, we were just like, we got more work to do, but like we aren't the team that is like the laughing stock anymore. Like those days are behind us. We kind of got hit with COVID and stuff, so that kind of affected the rest of the season. But just that moment when we were 9-0, we're the only team in the country that was 9-0. We kind of like enjoyed that moment.
And that is the challenging part for you because as a player, you just got off your redshirt season. You had obviously played your freshman season, but it wasn't obviously to the extent that you probably would have wanted to. And then COVID comes into play. And that's obviously something that affected everybody in their own ways. But for guys that had a redshirt the past season, it's another year of not getting a typical college season for yourself. So how did you adjust to that? What was the COVID season like for you? And just how did you personally handle that?
I just kind of was just grateful that we were able to play. I'd rather play than not play. But yeah, it was hard, some games not knowing if you're going to play. I had a false positive one time. My roommate caught it. So I'm a close contact. So they're not sure if I can play. And, our whole team was like that. Some games we had 6 players. Some games we had 7. Like, it was just all over the place sometimes. But you're just grateful for the opportunity to be able to play. And to just be able to play when for however long, the COVID shutdown was, we weren't able to play basketball. So you were just kind of thankful for the opportunity.
Now, there is a duo on this team that has only gets better and better every single game, and that leads into the season too. But you guys first started forming that duo last year, and that's with David. So I want to get into your two guys' relationship because you two are one of the best duos, once again, not just in the conference, but the entire country. So how have you guys clicked, and just what's it been like growing that dynamic duo with David?
Like I said, it was guarding him at first and then getting that mutual respect, when someone's pushing you and, sometimes getting the best of you and, you're getting the best of him, you respect that as a competitor because you're like, okay. And then you realize like, this is my teammate and that we can help each other. And, I just told him when I was able to play, like, I got your back, you know what I'm saying? And from there, we just, been growing, he does great things that I can learn from him and I do things that he can learn from me. And we just constantly stay in communication with each other on, areas of the game where we could, pick our spots here or just stuff like that.
No, that's the unique part about you two because you see a lot of times like people might think that, okay, there's obviously 2 clear-cut top players on a team. And some people just say, okay, they're a dynamic duo. And essentially, sure, they might be, but those that are truly the top duos are the guys that can really play off each other, the guys that truly have chemistry, the guys that are willing to sacrifice points or whatever it might be for the other guy and whatever is best for the team. So how have you two learned to embrace that and basically say, if you're now scoring this game, that's cool with me. I'm going to go out there and make sure that we win the game. How have you guys learned to just buy into that with each other?
A lot of people don't really look at it this way, but like there's on average, you score 65, 70 points a game on average for most teams. If we both want to score 20 per se, that's 40 points. We still need 30 more points to win. So it's not about is there enough shots to go around, if we play, and that's the good thing about us, like we have an offense where we move the ball and pass and everyone's able to do multiple things. But there's plenty of opportunities for both of us to do what we're good at. There's plenty of opportunities for him to shoot, attack, drive, and same for me. So it's not like here, I shoot this possession, you shoot this possession type of thing. We just let the game come to us and it'll work out the way it's supposed to. There's been plenty of games where we both scored 20 or we've both scored 27 and I scored 28 or he scored 24 and I scored 19. Like it all ends up working out the way it's supposed to. And, as long as we're winning, the whole team looks good. So we don't look any good losing and we're putting up 30 points apiece and we're losing. So it doesn't, winning's more important.
Off the court, what's the memory that stands out the most between you two? When you look at everything you guys have done and had fun at off the court, what's the best memory that comes to mind with you two?
We always go to Smoothie King. So it's just going to Smoothie King and then going to cryotherapy. Like when we go to cryotherapy, like we always trying to decide like what song to pick and like just like little goofy stuff like that. So it's just bonding, team bonding.
And now there are a lot of great duos in the country, though, and we're going to see a lot of them. And you guys have a very good chance at matching up against them in a couple of weeks now. What's so special about you two? What makes you two potentially the best duo in the country? Like, what makes you two so special?
I would say we're versatile. We both can shoot. We both can pass, dribble, attack. So there's you can't guard one a certain way, guard one the other way. You have to guard both of us, and have a lot of attention to us because Dave scored 30 in a game. I've scored 30. So we're both capable of scoring, high points and, distributing. And, I think we're really two good defenders as well. So I think we're just versatile. We can do multiple things. We can score on all three levels.
If you were to rank you guys amongst all the other duos in the country, where would you rank you two?
I mean, I would say, not, I would say first, but obviously you have to play against them to, claim that. But I mean, just out of respect for other players, I don't know any of them. I don't know any of the other duos, but I would say like top 5, top 3. I don't think there's too many teams with two guards that on having their own team could both score 20 points a game. There's not too many of those guards out there.
Now, I do feel like you guys are going to have a very good chance of making a potential run this year and be a quote unquote Cinderella team. A lot of people will learn your two and kind of come up and see how special your two are. But is there a nickname that you two have created for yourself? Is there a name for your guys' duo yet?
Nah, we just say we're a scary backcourt. That's what I say. And like, if anyone wants to argue with us, I just say argue with your mother. Like, don't argue with me about it. I ain't gonna argue with you about it. Everybody has their own opinion, obviously. And like I said, as a competitor, you're obviously going to pick yourself. I'm gonna have the confidence. I have confidence, all the confidence in the world in me and him. So if I gotta go to war with somebody, I'm going to war with him.
Absolutely. Well, let's hop back into last season. And as we talked about, it's the COVID year. You still have a pretty overall good year, and it's your first truly breakout season because, as you mentioned, not many people knew who you were, especially coming off a retro season. A lot of people might have forgot too. Just what was that year like for you to be able to go out there and have the season that you had? What was that like for yourself?
Honestly, it was just like going out there and just proving that what I worked on, like just proving what I worked on and just showcasing the things that I worked on over the redshirt season. Really didn't have any expectations going in. Like, we knew we were going to be a good team, but we didn't know where we were going to fall in the mix. So it was kind of just like, depending on the day, we knew we had great potential, but just with all the COVID stuff and some players playing, some players not, you had to just play hard, play your best, and just see, how the cards fell some games.
Following that season, then you ended up deciding to declare for the draft, and that's something a lot of guys do, just to be able to at least test the waters, see what teams want, see what to improve on. What led a decision for you? Why did you say, I want to go declare, I want to see what I can do, and see where I'm kind of viewed at by NBA GMs?
Honestly, I just kind of just wanted to just see how I stacked up, get feedback. I said a lot of players did it, and they're still kind of covered. So the process wasn't really I didn't really experience the full process, but just able to just work on my game, be around other pros, and see how they work, see how they approach the game was a good experience for me. And I feel like it's something that can help contribute to how I'm playing this season.
What was the biggest takeaway you had from that experience?
The nutrition part of it, how serious I take nutrition, the simple stuff like drinking water, stretching, and having a routine when you're in the gym, not just going to the gym and just getting up 200 shots, having a routine, going in with a plan. So I think I learned a lot of that stuff.
Is obviously in God's hand down the road when NBA stuff, we'll talk about that again in a little bit. But when you looked at yourself out there and you did kind of get a feeling of where some guys are, where teams might view you at to an extent, what was the biggest thing that you said, okay, I need to improve on this. I want to make sure I get better at this aspect of my game, maybe a couple of different aspects, so I can feel comfortable and know, okay, I'm ready for this jump now officially?
Honestly, I would say, I'm not gonna lie, I'll say all areas, but just my strength, more importantly, be able to handle the physicality of, players in the NBA. But just improving everything, the game's a lot faster, the pace is a lot faster, the conditioning, you got to be in the right shape and just be a consistent player, be able to make shots consistently, being able to be someone that your teammates and coaches and stuff can rely on. So honestly, just improving all the aspects of my game, honestly.
You get ready for this season now, and for the most part, COVID was gone. There was obviously a flare up there for about a month and a half or whatnot, and there's still different protocols, but it's nowhere near what it was last year. So It's your
Right.
true year to finally get a breakout. It's your time to shine. You guys have a big time roster. You guys return a lot of the key pieces, add in even better players too as well, like Silvio De Souza, who's obviously been huge for you guys, a couple others as well. What was the expectation of the vibe as a team when you guys were getting ready for this year? What was the expectation heading into the season?
Oh, first in the conference, make the tournament, and
Mm-hmm.
then go from there. When you make the tournament, all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? It's one game, single elimination. You know, anything can happen. And we embraced that from the jump. You know, the summer we got here, we've been saying like that's our goal, that's what we want to get. And we've been trying to practice and do the things that we need to do to make that happen. You know, we're kind of close.
Would you guys say that right now you guys are right where you guys expect yourself to be? Is it better than you guys thought you guys would be, worse than you guys thought you'd be, or where do you guys feel that you guys have accomplished as of this point in time compared to where you guys thought you guys would be to start the season?
I mean, we expect ourselves to be in first place, so you know, obviously, we're happy with that. You know, we dropped some games that we wish we could have back,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that if you know we're learning from that, we learned from those losses and didn't dwell on them. So I think that learning from them allowed us to kind of just like reshift and realize that we can be beat any day. So don't take any team for granted. You know, a lot of teams want to beat us. So I think I think we're in a good spot. You know, first place. Obviously, you don't want. Obviously, there's some losses that we wish we could have back, but we can't change them. So we're just moving ahead, and we just want to keep this thing rolling, like you know, like we have been.
I want to get into yourself and what you were thinking about yourself heading into the season because you were a great player last year, still an all conference selection, one of the top players in the conference. But this year, as I said, I mean, I'd be shocked if you're not player of the year in the conference. And it's not just that about you. Like I said, you truly have made yourself one of the best players in the country, period. What
Appreciate
led to
that.
that? How did you develop into that? And just what was your offseason like preparing for this year?
Uh, Man, like it was a lot. You know, it was a lot of sacrifice, doing a lot of things that's hard. You know, obviously getting up early, staying up late, sacrificing. You know, sometimes sacrificing sleep, hanging out with friends. Like you know, the stuff that a lot of the great players do. You know, a lot of players that make it, they do this. You know, they make those same sacrifices. It's not like a secret to success. You know, you got to do the things that everybody's not willing to do,
Yeah.
and you know, just pushing myself to limits that were hard. You know what I'm saying? Working on difficult shots, working on things that I knew I needed to improve on, and just building that confidence in myself as well. You know, you can work on those things, but if you don't have the confidence, it's not going to show and translate to the game. So coming to the season, like I said last year, it got kind of taken away from me because of COVID. So this whole off season, I just been telling myself like when the season starts, you know, I'm coming for everybody neck just because I wasn't able to help, you know, contribute to my team making the tournament last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I said I want to be able to experience that.
So then for yourself, this is not a shock at all. You were expecting to do this?
Yeah. You can ask anybody, like anyone that is close to me, my friends, my family. Before the season, I said, watch what I do this year. You know, not in a selfish way, in a selfish manner. Just watch the way that I play and the improvements I made on my game. And I told a lot of people that, you know, and I wasn't trying to be cocky or, you know, hype myself up. I was just saying, like, you know, like I said, my season got taken away from me and it's going to be a different, you know, it makes me appreciate the game so much more. And, you know, I just knew it was going to be a different Malachi this year.
Now, that mindset you just talked about right there is something that I've always admired about you. And there are some other guys out there that do that too, but it's not the easiest thing where, like you said, it's a simple balance. It's a fine line though between cockiness and confidence. And that's something that obviously you've displayed where you're someone that's going to say, you know, I just know that I put the work in where I deserve to be in this moment. I know how good I can be as a player. But at the same time, you're not going to be cocky about it too. So how have you learned to walk that fine line and become someone that's truly confident as opposed to just cocky?
I feel like, you know, being cocky is just like I'm too good to be in the same building as you, or
Mhm.
just having the persona that, you know, I'm better than everybody. And I don't, you know, I respect the game too much. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of players that are working just as much as me, you know, so you have to have respect for the game as well and other players that you play against. But I just think the confidence comes in where, you know, you're not going to let somebody outwork you. You know, you're not going to back down from nobody. And like I said, just embrace every challenge and just have that chip on your shoulder. And I think that's where the confidence comes in. Like you said, I know the work I've put in, so I have no reason to fear nobody that I'm going up against. So you can respect them, but you don't have to fear them or back down or shy away. And that's just kind of like my mentality. Like I'm not going to shy away from nobody.
Now, I'm someone that I love watching basketball period, whether that be the high major conferences, the mid majors, low majors, whatever it is. But obviously, I know you've seen it probably countless times where the general fans are going to go out there and say, okay, you're putting up 20 points a game, but it's against quote unquote nobodies. How have you learned to basically say, just what's overall your thoughts on that? When you do hear some people kind of discredit your numbers for whatever reason that is, because of maybe not being in a power conference, just kind of take us through your thoughts on why you truly do still feel that you are one of the top players, regardless of who you're playing.
I just say like it's their opinion. People gonna have
Mm-hmm.
their opinion no matter what. And because if I wasn't doing that, they would say I'm not a good player because I can't do that against
Mm-hmm.
whoever I'm playing against. At the end of the day, like I said, the opportunity comes in front of me. I think me and my team will take advantage of that. But for me personally, you just don't pay attention to that because I can't control who's in front of me and what team we play. I don't make the schedule. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And we've played good teams, and I've had good games against good teams. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like we played VCU. VCU is a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we have good teams in our conference. Our conference is one of the best mid-major conferences out there. So
Yep.
we're not playing Division III schools, but people are always gonna have something to say regardless. You know what I'm saying? If I was in a Power 5 doing it, they would still have, there's still people that would have something to say. So you just kind of just ignore and just keep focusing on yourself.
You guys have had an incredible season to this point. 22-5 is you guys' record right now. There still is about 3, almost 4 weeks left of the season. What do you guys want to go out there and improve? I know you guys have a big game Thursday where you guys can clinch a spot where you guys at least get a share of the championship. What do you guys want to overall achieve? Like, what's the best ending? What do you guys want to get done in the next 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the conference tournament?
We want to just prove we kind of just want to ride off into the tournament with momentum, letting everybody know that we're the best team. And if you want to make it to the tournament, you got to get through us, and just kind of just keep imposing our will as the best team in the conference.
I also mentioned someone else that came into you guys' team this year, and obviously we were talking about you and David. We know what you guys are capable of, as well as a lot of other good pieces. But Silvio's also been huge for you guys. I know he's missed the past few games for you guys, but how big has he been for you guys? And just what's it been like adding him into this team?
He's been great. He's a great player. He affects the game in so many ways. He blocks shots. He rebounds. He's aggressive. He's a mismatch. He makes our job. He makes guards' jobs easier. You can give him the ball. If you double, we get easy shots. So he's made the game a lot easier for us.
How about you for yourself personally? What do you want to improve on from here on out? You got 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the conference tournament. Is there a statement that you want to make? Is there something that you personally want to get done for your own self?
Not for me personally. I just want to keep doing what I've been doing. Keep building off the momentum that I have, but just continue to do the things I need to do to help get our team to where we want to go, and just keep being a leader. And whatever I got to do to help the team get to where we need to be, that's what I'll do for the team.
Absolutely, man. Well, a few more things before I let you go. One of that is you look at eligibility wise because of the COVID season, because of your redshirt season, there are still 2 years available for yourself. Obviously, that's up to yourself. You're going to decide to go play pro, go anywhere else, stay here. That's obviously all up to your decision. But how do you plan on utilizing that? Like, what is kind of your process when that does come time for you to make a decision? What are you looking for? And what's some of the signs that you want to see for yourself in terms of if I want to return, if I want to go to pro? Like, how do you kind of plan to evaluate that?
Honestly, you deal with that when the time comes. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you meet with your coaches, meet with your family to make the best decision for you. All I care about is Chattanooga and getting to March Madness. Tomorrow's not even promised, so I can't worry about something a month from now, honestly. And it sounds like a cliche, but it's the truth. So I just focus on today, and then tomorrow I'll handle whatever tomorrow brings, and whenever that day comes, I'll handle it the way it's supposed to. So just focus on Chattanooga and you're doing what I do to make the tournament.
Something I was like wrapping up and talking about with guys is building a legacy for yourself. And I know all guys want to be remembered for something. So when the time does come, you decide to move on from your collegiate career at Chattanooga. What do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court throughout your career here?
I just want to be someone that never cheated the game, gave max effort every time he played, and off the court was just someone that was a great person, someone that was willing to take pictures with whoever, talk to whoever, someone that was relatable and available to anyone, and just someone that was a good person and just was respectful.
I want to wrap up and get going back into faith. I know we talked about a little bit throughout this interview, but you're someone that is extremely outspoken about your faith. And I respect that a ton because obviously it's nothing bad. If some guys are believers and there are a lot that might not be outspoken, that's totally fine. But what has led you to say, I want to be outspoken? I'm going to be very vocal, both rather it be on interviews, rather it be on social media, whatever it is, I want to be outspoken about it. What's led you to be that type of person?
I feel like on this earth, we're used to bring other people to God as well. So, God in the Bible wanted to bring as many people to Christ. And I feel like that's something that I want to do as well. Like if I can change someone's trajectory, change someone's life, or inspire someone to want to build a relationship with God as well. You never know what a tweet, a quote, a post, like what could that do for someone who might be on the fence about it or might not know nothing about it. I just want to do my part in trying to get as many people to follow Christ as possible.
There's two verses you have. One is Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 5. That's on Instagram. The other one, Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. I want us to first start off with Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. It's trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Why does that verse stand out to you? And why is that the verse that you decided to put in your Instagram bio?
Like I said, when I was going through the times where I felt like I was getting overlooked, not getting the credit I deserve, and those moments, it's not our job to ask why or to ask, or to get frustrated. That's when you got to trust in him and like I said, lean on your own understanding and let him guide your paths. So kind of just stuck with me and was just like, I'm not gonna lean on my understanding. I'm gonna lean on his, and that's kind of how it stuck with me. And then Jeremiah 29:11, just when you get down on yourself or you feel like there's like you don't know what the future looks like, his promises they always come true, and it says, yeah, he has plans and hopes for your future, and he's never going to leave you or forsake you. So you can rely on that. He's not going to leave you, and he has plans to prosper you and give you hope in the future.
When we look at this entire story, and that's part of the reason I love having guys on to share the journey, because God's obviously got so many different routes for each and every single player. Where would you say has been the biggest moment you've had to rely on God? Where did you say that out of everything you've gone through, where did you have to trust God the most throughout your career?
When I was transferring, deciding, like what school is the best school, deciding if I should transfer. I didn't have schools that I knew would want me. I didn't know who would want me. I didn't even know if anyone would call. So I had to rely on my decision in my heart and just go with my gut instinct and just trust what he was telling me.
Is there a certain area of life that you'd want to impact? If you have the opportunity financially, whatever it is, if you become a pro player, whatever ends up happening, you have the financial opportunity. Is there a certain area of life that you feel that God's led you toward that you would want to help impact?
Yeah, it'll be the kids from where I grew up. The resources are low. You can get caught up in some bad things. And I want to, and if you don't play a sport, sometimes it's like either you play the sport or you do those things. And I just want to create opportunities for kids that look like me to not have to go to that. You know what I'm saying? They can be something in life, whether it's a sport, whether it's somewhere in politics, whether it's, instrument, whatever it is, just create opportunities for kids like me that, I didn't have the resources or have the, access to.
Amen, man. Well, my final thing for you, give the country and Chattanooga fans in general, what's your three biggest goals that you have set for the remainder of your career?
Get a ring, go dancing at March Madness, and keep making Chattanooga proud. You know what I'm saying? Just just keep doing great things, honestly. That's all I can say.
Absolutely, man. Well, Malachi, Best of luck the remainder of the season. I'm excited to see what God got next for you. Keep being the light out there, man, and appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Appreciate you for having me. Have a good night.
Of course, man. You're always welcome on, man. God bless.
You too.